Well, it's official. President Trump has been indicted for a second time. And guys, I'm going to share something with you that I don't think you're going to hear anywhere else. I think this is going to be a fresh take, and this is going to be a real take. There's a reason why President Trump has been indicted for a second time. The reason he's been indicted for a second time is very simple to me when you sit and think about it, and we're going to go deeply into this. But let me give you some Biden scandals or some Obama scandals. Benghazi, remember the IRS scandal? Remember the Operation Fast and Furious scandal? Remember targeting James Rosen, a reporter? You guys remember that? Do you remember Obamacare lies? Do you remember all of that? The reason why Donald Trump is experiencing a second indictment is because feckless Republicans never did anything to indict corrupt Democrats. And that's exactly what's happening. We're going to be talking about that and more next on this edition of the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Stay tuned for some quick program messaging, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Guys, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. If you rate and review us, give us a 5 so that we will be able to spread our message through, online. That would help us greatly. Also, all things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. Guys, please sign up for my Instagram account. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on True Social. We're on Getter at The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find us. Today's show is brought to you by MyPillow.com. MyPillow, Mike Lindell, the fabulous CEO that has created American jobs with American products, American manufacturing. Mike Lindell has a new pillow out, the new MyPillow 2.0. It comes with the same patented adjustable feel as the original MyPillow, but it has this temperature regulating thread that makes it softer, smoother, and cooler. And for my listeners, if you go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listener square, enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, you will get their buy one, get one free offer of the new MyPillow 2.0. That is correct. Buy one, get one free. All I use are my pillows. I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. They work. Sleep much better on my pillows. So please give them a call. They come with a 10-year warranty, a 60-day money-back guarantee. You're going to love the pillow. If you prefer to call, you can do so. 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263. Okay, guys, so what are we to make? What are we to make of this scandalous Trump indictment, the second indictment on former President Donald Trump? And I'm going to go through some of the charges that he may be charged with. There's 7 that his attorneys suspect that he'll be charged with, although they have not seen the official indictment as of yet. But we all know this is as Donald Trump framed it himself, as a boxes hoax. And guys, I want you to understand what's going on. This is so much bigger than Donald Trump, although it is about Donald Trump. They're obviously fearful of Donald Trump. They're obviously fearful of you, the people, as well. They want to fundamentally, and when I say they, I mean the left, and quite frankly, the Democrat Party and the left, synonymous. They're the same thing at this point. So please understand that's what's going on. But they want to totally, fundamentally transform America, and they will do so by transforming the system. We all know, you think it's a coincidence? Do you think it is a coincidence that on the very day that we find out, or James Comer finds out with this memorandum or whatever it was from this FBI informant, someone that has been around since 2017, trying to tell the alleged truth about Joe Biden, that he is corrupt as hell, that he received a $5 million payment from Ukraine in exchange for policy issues. And his homeboy, his son, Hunter Biden, got an additional $5 million cut. So just as we were finding that out, Christopher Wray, the FBI director, was getting ready to be found in contempt of Congress. He didn't want to do that, so he went ahead and released the documents. What do you know? The day the day that the Republicans were going to be able to show with evidence that the man, the dementia patient sitting in the White House is corrupt as all get out. The day that that's going to happen, what do you know? What do you know? Trump is indicted. It's almost as if they planned that, isn't it? It's weird. It's weird. So now all the news stories are about Donald Trump and about this freaking phony indictment, as opposed to focusing on a man that is literally compromised sitting in the White House. And it's sickening to me. It is so sickening to me that we don't have, the media is dead. Mainstream, it is, journalism is dead. I remember hearing Hannity say this years ago, and I wasn't sure that we were quite there. Oh my God, was he right? I should have believed him. He was on the inside way before I was. But oh my God, journalism is dead. Thank God for alternative media like the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, please share this podcast. But I'm going to tell you why. Listen, there's obviously, I do believe that there's campaigns, whether it's Ron DeSantis, he's come out and said, basically, this is an atrocity, so on, et cetera. He mentioned Trump specifically, which was good. Vivek Ramaswamy, I think all of the Republicans are coalescing behind Donald Trump as well. They should be. I don't know if they'll make a statement by showing up in Miami on Tuesday behind him. You know, if so, listen, I do think that will be a great idea, but that isn't going to be enough. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if it works. I'm not sure if it matters at this point. It feels great. Sounds great. It's a great gesture. But guys, I'm here to tell you, just like I did at the top of the program, the real reason why Trump is being indicted twice is because we have feckless Republicans that did nothing when they saw corruption along the way, starting in the Obama administration. And I'm not saying that it was just Obama's administration that was scandalous, but there was an overwhelming amount of scandal where people should have been prosecuted, where the Republican Party did absolutely nothing. I don't know if the deep state was already so entrenched that they couldn't do anything, or they just didn't care. Either way, the reason, if James Comey, that little corrupt liar, had he been indicted, do you think that Donald Trump would be indicted today? Hillary Clinton and her email scandal, where she has a server outside of her Washington office, collecting data, receiving classified information, where people could tap into her server and steal information. If she were indicted on that crime, do you think that Donald Trump would be sitting here today? Of course not. Of course not. So we keep going back as Republicans when we sit here and say, oh my God, the left, they're so corrupt. We know they're corrupt. The problem is we don't do a damn thing about it. The problem, the issue is, again, I hope that I'm framing this correctly. Forgive me because I'm frustrated, but I hope that I'm framing this correctly. The only reason there was one indictment against Trump and now a second indictment against Trump is because we never did anything to indict the deep state or corrupt politicians, staffers, administrative officials that were in the Obama administration that bled over into the Biden administration. Years ago, David Limbaugh, the brother of Rush Limbaugh, wrote this book on some of the Obama scandals. Frankly, I forget the name of it, but he also wrote a column and he just outlined some of the scandals. And it's amazing to me. Nothing occurred. So every time nothing occurred, when Republicans had some power to do something about it, once nothing occurred, what happens? The deep state runs amok. That's what happens. What do you expect? What do you expect when you have the scandal that is Benghazi? The scandal that is Benghazi. Let me give you a refresher. Obama and his cohorts concocted and disseminated the lie that these attacks occurred on our consulate in Benghazi in Libya as a result of an anti-Muslim video. Nothing could be further from the truth. You had some rogue actors and you had some Al-Qaeda people going in there attacking the consulate. Absolutely insane. And they just lied about it. Susan Rice went out with her marching orders, lied on all the Sunday talk shows about it, just completely lied. Was there any accountability? Heck no. Heck no. And guess who knew better? FBI, CIA, all of these people knew better. And the Obama administration was keeping them in check. Forgive me if you hear the dogs barking. We recently adopted them and they're new, so they probably hear me going off in here and they're going insane. So forgive me if you hear some dogs in the background, but they're conservative dogs, so they're good. All right, now, what about the IRS scandal? Remember that? Lois Lerner under the Obama administration. Do you remember that? Tea Party advocates were shut down completely. Tea Party organizations weren't allowed to basically to develop and create their organizations. They were shut down by the IRS. They were targeted by the IRS. Did Lois Lerner, did she go to jail? Did she go to jail? Did we scare people within the deep state? No. And now the deep state, the IRS, is even larger today, isn't it? Remember Fast and Furious? Operation Fast and Furious. Do you guys remember that? When Obama, former President Obama, and his AG Eric Holder were gun running. They were literally gun running across the border. And then you had the agent Brian Terry, border agent Brian Terry, that was killed. And their goal was to run guns across the border and hope that those guns would be used in crimes. And then when they found those guns, either on the scene or track criminals down with American guns, then they would use that. They would use that as a cudgel against the Second Amendment and a way to take away your Second Amendment rights. You guys remember that? So the reason why they're indicting Trump for a second time is because we, as Republicans, and I'm sorry, there are a lot of Republicans saying great things. Yes, let's coalesce around Trump. I'm sorry, that is not going to work. That is too late. It's too late. Here's the problem. Bottom line it, they don't fear us. When I say the left doesn't fear us, the deep state doesn't fear us, they do not fear us, but we fear them. That's for damn sure. None of us want to end up being J6, held in prison forever like these J6 protesters. More video, more information emerging that a lot of people peacefully were let into the building, but these people are being held, many of them without bail. So they figure out how to make us fear them, but we do nothing on the right to make them fear us. That's the problem. They don't fear Trump. They don't fear the right. They don't fear you. I'm just being real with you. They don't. They don't. They know that they can get away with it. Okay, so what if DeSantis goes to Miami on Tuesday? So what if Tim Scott or Vivek or any of them go and they show their solidarity with the Republican Party? Nobody gives a damn. It won't matter unless somebody is indicted. For every time they roll out a Trump indictment, there should be 2 corrupt Democrats indicted. Where are the Republican state attorneys? Where are the Republican district attorneys? I'm not talking about creating some fake phony scandal. I'm talking about real crimes that people are involved in. And I'm an equal opportunity offender. If you catch some Republicans that are involved in crimes, get them too. I don't care. But I want to see some high profile Democrats in handcuffs and indicted and perp walked. You want this stuff to stop? That's the only way it's going to stop. See, they play hardball. We play softball. They play street ball. We play organized ball. They throw elbows. We make sure we follow all the rules. Freaking unbelievable. It's unbelievable where we are, man. We got the most corrupt president to sit in the White House ever. And no attention is being paid to him because we've got a phony scandal where a president gets to determine which boxes or classified documents he classifies or unclassifies. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, as well as the bribery scheme that we're finding out about in Ukraine and places like Romania and so on, etc. On top of that, he has his own document scandal because he was vice president and he was senator at the time that he was taking classified information. Where's the special counsel on him? What are they doing with him? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. A lot of this is about fearing Trump, but a lot of this is about CYA too. They have to save leftism. You understand that, right? The deep state, FBI, DOJ, they're all leftists for the most part, or at least those that run it. CIA, I suppose. They have to save leftism. And if if you find out the truth about Donald Trump and their scandals, then they're in trouble. The same with the media, the left-wing media. When you start exposing the truth, these fools, you'll expose who they really are, and they cannot afford that because they lose leftism, they lose liberalism or whatever, or that's their God. Politics is their God. They don't worship Jesus Christ. They don't worship the God of the Bible. They worship power. They worship money. They worship prestige. That's what the left worships. But see, if Republicans had said, you know what, this IRS scandal, we've got to make we've got to make an example out of Lois Lerner. This can never happen within the IRS. Susan Rice lying about Benghazi. She should never be allowed to work in government again. Obamacare should have been overturned. Now you got a bunch of paper pushers masquerading as doctors. Oh, your premiums are going to go down. They skyrocket over the years. Republicans are completely silent about it. See, the reason why the left knows they can get away with indicting Trump for a second time over another phony charge on top of the Russia collusion hoax, the Ukraine hoax, is because they know Republicans won't do a damn thing about it. Because guess what? They're not scared of you. That's the problem. That's the real issue. Let me just outline some of the charges, and then I want to move on. Here's what these are the charges that are more than likely coming down the pike for Donald Trump. That's according to the New York Post. He'll be in trouble for retaining classified documents. Basically, they're using the Espionage Act that was developed under Woodrow Wilson when Woodrow Wilson wanted to silence President Woodrow Wilson wanted to silence anyone that was speaking out against World War I and his policies. He even jailed some of his opposition. Another freaking socialist in the White House. But anyway, retaining classified documents. Trump is accused of hoarding hundreds of classified materials inside of Mar-a-Lago, where they were recovered in two separate FBI raids last year. He claimed he declassified everything that came from the White House, adding that a president has the authority to declassify material, quote, even by thinking about it, close quote. Now, quite frankly, I wish that President Trump would just be clear. Yes, a president could, I guess, technically do that. But hey, I declassified it. This material, I decided as president what was classified and what wasn't classified because I was the commander in chief. Enough said. I was sitting there negotiating with the National Archives as to, what was going to be sent back. You still have George W. Bush negotiating with them. You still have Barack Obama negotiating with them. The former president, Richard Nixon, was negotiating them for decades. It's insane. There's a section of the Espionage Act that prohibits any individual, including the president, from, quote, willfully retaining national defense information and, quote, failing to deliver it to the officer or employee of the United States entitled to receive it. Now, again, the problem with that, there's negotiations between the National Archives and the president. And again, the president gets to decide what's classified and what's not. I forget the name of the act. That stinks. But that statute carries a maximum sentence of 10 years and or a fine. Now, that's retaining and classifying or classify documents. That's number one. The second charge that he could be charged with, conspiring to obstruct justice. Trump is accused of telling others to mislead government officials. Like who? While they were working on gathering the classified documents that were in his possession. By the way, he wasn't there. A crime that would constitute an obstruction of justice charge. This is total BS. There's pictures of the people, Secret Service and other people that pack up the White House after a president leaves. There's pictures of them carrying the boxes off, storing the boxes into a van and taking off with it. So if there was something that the National Archives was concerned about, the day whatever that the presidency was decided and handed over to Joe Biden, then the National Archives should have been there going through the material, and they weren't. Federal law prohibits anyone from making, quote, threats or force, close quote, that would influence, intimidate, or impede any U.S. officials from conducting their work. So he conspired to obstruct justice. Yeah, right. By negotiating with the National Archives. It seems to me that the National Archives just sucks at their job. That's what it seems like. Withholding a document or record, that's another charge. Investigators allege that Trump purposely leafed through some of the boxes of top secret government documents in an apparent effort to retain some of the material. Now, we know this is BS because we know the National Archives, or was it the FBI, came in to Mar-a-Lago and they told Trump at one point that he needed to put a lock. Now, keep in mind, he has guards there. It's like a fortress. He has some Secret Service members there. They told him he had to put a lock on some of the places where these documents were stored. And he did just that. He was following their orders and negotiating with them. This is unbelievable. This is just unbelievable. Similar to the Espionage Act, the unauthorized removal and retention of classified documents or material charge prohibits an individual from, quote, knowingly removing such documents or materials without authority and with the intent to retain such documents or materials at an unauthorized location, close quote. That carries 5 years sentence. Oh, the crime before conspiring to obstruct justice, that could carry a 10-year sentence. Now, corruptly concealing a document or record. This would be the fourth charge. The corruptly concealing a document charge includes language for both threatening others to mislead a federal investigation and illegally retaining classified documents, both of which Trump is accused of doing. This is nonsense, man. This is complete and utter nonsense because they don't want you to focus on the proven corrupt criminal sitting inside of the White House that has bargained away our foreign policy, getting paid $5 million on one occasion, allegedly, by Ukraine. His son getting another cool $5 million for a total of $10 million from Ukraine. That's just Ukraine. Then that's just one transaction. This carries a 20-year sentence. The, fifth thing is concealing a document in a federal investigation. So Trump could face another 2 decades if convicted of purposefully hiding the classified documents while federal investigators were searching for them inside of his private residences last year. How is this possible when they knew where the documents were and they told him to lock them up? Put a lock on it. How is this possible? How is this even possible? The sixth, the scheme to conceal. Trump is accused of knowingly hiding the classified documents while and immediately after serving with the, quote, executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States, close quote. The statute carries a maximum of 5 years. The last charge, at least what they're hearing, this isn't official as of yet, but these are the indictments that his attorneys suspect will be coming down. Maybe there's more, maybe there's less. These are all pretty weak, frankly. False statements and representations. Finally, for allegedly lying about keeping top secret government papers inside his private home, Trump could face charges for making false statements and representations. BS. The reason why they're going after Trump, or the reason why they've indicted Trump for a second time, is because when Republicans saw corruption, they did nothing. Real corruption, real crimes, actual crimes. They did nothing. They gave them a pass, which emboldened the deep state. It emboldened the deep state. So we can sing Kumbaya all we want. Oh, yeah, all Republicans go and support Trump and get behind him. What a nice gesture. Show them our solidarity. They don't give a damn because they know that none of them will be arrested. But great job, Republicans. We know how to gesture. So sick of this crap. Sometimes, God have mercy, man. Sometimes, Gabe, you don't know. Sometimes I just wish I was a Democrat. I mean, they play hardball. So tired of this crap. I hate losing to these fools that are trying to destroy the country. God forgive me. I can't stand it. I can't stand it, man. All of these, I mean, just a list. I didn't even go through a lot of these things. A list of scandals we did nothing about. They got away with murder during the Obama administration. They're carrying it over during Biden. He goes out as this squeaky clean president. Brings his corrupt former VP is in as a president. There are troves of, I tweeted it out. Check me out on Twitter. All things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. But I just tweeted out an article from the New York Post with more pictures of, so brace yourself, all right? More pictures of Hunter Biden out there. All kinds of crap. This is a son that Joe Biden is proud of. Crackhead, pictures of him smoking crack, pictures of him with all types of different women. This is the man that he's proud of, the son that he's proud of. If Joe Biden is proud of that guy, that tells you all you need to know about Joe Biden's character. I'm not saying that people can't fall into sin. I hope that one day Hunter Biden gets clean before he ends up dead from smoking crack, or, God forbid, his drugs get laced with something, or who knows, catches some type of STD, who knows. But I'm sorry, you can love your son and say, no, I'm ashamed of that behavior. Yeah, that's not what Bidens do. But apparently it is what Bidens do. All right, let's move on. I want to go on to California Governor Gavin Newsom, desperate for attention. Everyone believes that Joe Biden might not live to see the 2024 election, or he's definitely unpopular within the base, but I'm not sure that it's not too late. I know RFK Jr. is coming on strong. He's polling at 21%. RFK Jr. has some really good ideas, but he's a nut job when it comes to global man-made climate change. He's also an anti-2A guy. He gave this, I was listening to Dana Lash, and I heard part of it anyway, where basically the audio of RFK Jr., I'm saying, where he basically said he wanted to try to figure out a consensus with the Second Amendment. Here's the consensus. It's one of our unalienable rights, so keep your damn hands off my guns. That's the consensus. So all of you guys that are getting all hot and bothered and, RFK Jr., listen, he's a lefty too. Maybe he's not a corrupt leftist, so I would rather see him I would rather go up against him in an honest debate against a Republican, frankly. But please, I've seen Republicans online or conservatives. Could he be the VP? Could he be Trump's VP? Or stop, for God's sakes, man. You realize that if Trump wins, he gets 4 years. You realize the left and the deep state are going to try to obstruct that 4 years to no end. And then you want a liberal to take over? Like, think, people. Freaking think, for God's sakes. This is, I'm telling you, I think we've been so whipped. We're just willing to accept and take crumbs. We're willing to accept anything. I'm not. Now, I may not be the most popular person because of it, but I'm not willing to do that. We're fighting communists. I want a communist buster in for one presidency, and I want a communist buster in for another term or two. That's what I want. Insane. All right, let's move on to Gavin Newsom, Pretty Boy Floyd, with no substance here. This is a video of Gavin Newsom. I don't know what this is. I think he's trying to prepare to be the guy in case Biden has to step aside, but he's going to have a problem fighting that gal, Kamala Harris, because they're going to have a hard time getting rid of Kamala Harris. She'll be gripping onto that presidency. And quite frankly, I think that Joe Biden will pass the presidency on to Kamala Harris. That's what a lot of people would like. I know she's a complete and utter disaster. You notice you haven't been seeing as much of her. I think they're trying to get her prepared just in case. I'm not even sure if that's possible, but I do believe that that's what's happening. All right. So let's play this clip of Governor Gavin Newsom, and then I want to respond to this clip. This guy is a complete and utter fraud. This guy lacks substance. All he can do is attack. He cannot say what he's doing to make the world a better place, to make his state a better place. California is an absolute disaster under his leadership. Under his leadership in San Francisco as the mayor, they had to develop poop maps, and then the entire state of California was dumb enough to vote for him as governor anyway. So here's the greasy, dumb governor, Gavin Newsom, and his latest attempt to propose a 28th Amendment to destroy the Second Amendment and disarm law-abiding citizens. So I'll respond after this clip. Let's roll it, Gabe.
Because if you can't buy a beer, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. So today, I'm proposing the 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The 28th Amendment permanently enshrines 4 additions to the laws of our land. It raises the minimum age to purchase a firearm from 18 to 21. Because if you can't buy a beer, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. It mandates universal background checks. It institutes reasonable waiting periods for all gun purchases. And it bans civilians from buying assault rifles, those weapons of war our founding fathers never foresaw. This will guarantee states as well the ability to enact common sense gun safety laws while leaving the Second Amendment intact and respecting America's gun-owning tradition. And it ensures NRA-owned politicians can never strip those protections away.
All right. So let me break this down from this moron. First off, let's start with the last point that he made. NRA bought politicians. There's no such thing. You guys understand that whether it's the Second Amendment Foundation, whether it's the Gun Owners of America, or whether it's the NRA, that is a collective group of citizens, individual citizens that donate to these groups so that they will lobby for their Second Amendment rights so they don't have to worry about wannabe dictators like Gavin Newsom. So let's get that straight. All right. Another thing that he says he wants to do, he wants to raise the age of legal consent to own a firearm from 18 to 21. Does he or does he not believe in the Constitution of the United States? Let me say this. You guys understand that as far as mass shootings are concerned, California is the worst state in the United States of America as far as having mass shootings. Did you know that? The worst state for mass shootings in the entire United States is California. I believe Texas is second. California, where they have the most stringent gun laws in the entire country, yet they have the most mass shootings. What does that tell you? Gun laws don't work because criminals don't obey laws. It is really that simple. This is why this guy, and I think he knows that. He just wants the power. Universal background checks. Guys, I have firearms. There isn't a firearm that I've purchased that I haven't had to have a background check. And if you purchase a pistol, you have to wait. So there's the third point. You have to wait. There's no gun show loopholes or any of that nonsense as well. I've purchased firearms from gun shows. And guess what? I had to follow the same parameters at the gun show that I had to do at a gun shop. That is a complete and utter lie. The only loophole that they're trying to talk about is if a dad passes his firearm onto his son, or private citizens decide to buy and sell amongst each other. And they have no business doing that. He wants to ban an assault weapon. What the hell is an assault weapon? If I get a hammer and hit you upside the head, isn't that an assault weapon? These weapons of war, they don't use AR-15s in the military because they're not automatic. They're semi-automatic. And quite frankly, it's a small round. These people are complete and utter liars. So I do not want to hear from this guy who, quite frankly, runs the state where they have the most mass shootings. His solutions didn't work. And now he wants to impose his solutions that weren't solutions, that didn't work on the rest of the United States. So I say, screw you, Gavin Newsom, and I hope you never become president, because if you destroy America like you destroyed California, we will never come back. It's as simple as that. All right, so that's enough of that. Let me leave you on a good note. This is the Oklahoma, I don't know if it's Oklahoma State University or Oklahoma University. I'll just say Oklahoma University softball girls team. I want to leave you on a good note. This is what we should be doing. This is what people of faith, conservatives, Republicans should be doing. We should not be afraid to share our views. You guys, I hope you heard my podcast on the First Amendment yesterday. Now, that one was a little lengthy because we went over the general principles as well. And the others, the rest of the series that we'll talk about the other amendments and the Bill of Rights. They won't be as lengthy because we're not going to go so far in depth as far as the general principles are concerned. But the First Amendment is important simply because or the first reason it's important is simply because nobody should be able to tell you what to believe or what to say. That is a powerful tool. When you watch this video, I want you to understand, sometimes fighting back against the left, like a lot of conservatives, and I've been guilty of this as well, as we lead up to 2024, I'm like, go do this, go do this, go do this. Sometimes, for some of you out there, all you have to do is start sharing your faith, start sharing your values, and not being afraid, and stop bowing down to the woke left. Look at Riley Gaines, the female swimmer that was swimming against homeboy Leah Thomas, and the inroads that she's making because she's decided to open her mouth and speak out against this trans nonsense. Now, I want you to listen to these young ladies, and you can't tell me that they didn't have an impact on this entire crowd. And God knows how many ladies, you know, female sports are full of lesbians. Let's be real. How much of an impact did these ladies have on other young ladies that'll hear this, other coaches, some people then in the media? So let's go ahead and let's roll with this video. This is absolutely powerful. And this isn't ladies they're not going out and being activists. They're just being open and honest and willing to speak what they believe. The most important amendment that we have, they're exercising it. And if they can do it, you can too. Let's roll the tape.
Alex Scarborough with ESPN. For the players, I know you talked about keeping the joy of the game, but I'm curious, it's a long season, right? And you guys have had the target on your back the entire time, the win streak being number one. How do you handle the unique pressure that comes with that? How do you keep the joy for so long when anxiety seems like a thing that could very easily set in?
Well, the only way that you can have a joy that doesn't fade away is from the Lord. And any other type of joy is actually happiness that comes from circumstances and outcomes. I think Coach has said this before, but joy from the Lord is really the only thing that can keep you motivated, just in a good mindset, no matter the outcomes. Thankfully, we've had a lot of success this year, but if it was the other way around, joy from the Lord is the only thing that can keep you embracing those memories, moments, friendships, and all of that. So that's really the only answer to that, because there's no other way that softball can bring you that, because of how much failure comes in it and just how much of a roller coaster the game can be.
1,000% agree with Grace Lyons. I went through that my freshman year. I was so happy to win the college. I've talked about this before, but I was just so happy that we won the College World Series, but I didn't feel joy. I didn't know what to do the next day. I didn't know what to do for that following week. I didn't feel filled, and I had to find Christ in that. And I think that is what makes our team so strong, is that we're not afraid to lose, because if it's not the end of the world if we do lose. Yes, obviously we've worked our butts off to be here and we want to win, but it's not the end of the world because our life is in Christ, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think a huge thing that we've really just latched onto is eyes up. And you guys see us doing this and pointing up, but we're really like fixing our eyes on Christ. And that's something where, like they were saying, you can't find a fulfillment in an outcome, whether it's good or bad. And I think that's why we're so steady in what we do, and our love for each other and our love for the game, because we know this game is giving us the opportunity to glorify God. Mm-hmm. And I just think once we figured that out and that was our purpose and everyone was all in with that, it's really changed so much for us. And I mean, I know myself, I've seen so much of a growth in myself with once I turned to Jesus and I realized how he had changed my outlook on life, not just softball, but understanding how much I have to live for, and that's living to exemplify the kingdom. And I think that brings so much freedom. And I'm sure everyone's story is similar, but we all have those great testimonies that have really shown how awesome it is to play for something bigger. And I think that's just what brings me so much joy. And no matter the outcome, whether we get a trophy in the end or not, this isn't our home. And I think that's what's amazing about it is we have so much more. We have an eternity of joy with our Father, and I'm so excited about that. And yes, I live in the moment, but I know this isn't my home, and no matter what, my sisters in Christ will be there with me in the end when we're with our King. So,
Patty, you've got to keep your eye on the prize.
Ding! Ding! Oh, man. Wow. Wow. Listen, I've just become an Oklahoma softball fan. Just become an Oklahoma softball fan. I give those girls props. Look at them giving each other daps. Man, there's strength in numbers. There's power in the confession of your faith, your values, your beliefs. You're an American for doggone it. For God's sake, don't be afraid to share what you believe. The left isn't afraid to share what they believe. You don't be afraid to share what you believe. You know what? And that's convicting to me too. There's times where I feel like there's times where I feel like I should say something and I haven't. So that goes for all of us. We all can get involved to do something to try to save this country. But the number one thing that we can do is share our faith, share what we believe. That's going to change hearts more than anything. And we can continue working on the political system, but don't be afraid to share your faith. Don't be afraid to share your values. Period. I don't think I can't add anything to that. I can't add anything to that. God bless those girls. God bless the Oklahoma softball team. I don't even know where this tournament is at this point, but I'm going to be rooting for them. You can bet on that. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We're on Apple, we're on Google, wherever you go. You can find the Carl Jackson Show. Find us there. YouTube and Rumble. If you'd like to watch the video, you can do that. Subscribe there. I ask that you would rate and review us. That really helps out big time, guys. You may understand. That really helps out big time. That helps more people. We're exposed to more people. They get to see us. If you rate and review, give us a 5. That'll help us to move up the charts. More people will see us. Please follow me on all things social media, wherever you are. I'm on Instagram, The Carl Jackson Show. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Getter. I'm on Facebook. For those of you that are on Facebook, I'm on Truth Social. One of those I don't have a face. Getter. I got to work on that. I tried to upload my face. It wouldn't let me do it. So I'll work on that. But anyway, until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.